Thanks to Logitech G and the G432 7.1 surround sound gaming headset for sponsoring this video. To check out the tech behind the G432, click the link in the description. Hello and welcome to Rock Paper Shotgun. This is Matthew speaking, and today I'm whisking you to the exciting world of Alpha Complex in Paranoia. Happiness is mandatory.
Greetings, troubleshooters. Are you ready? You have been assigned to terminate the traitor.
We are working for this bizarre friend computer. Now this is an adaptation of the popular 80s tabletop RPG. I say 80s, it has continued in many forms all the way up to present day, and this is an attempt to take this strange satirical world and boil it into kind of a classic RPG. So I'm going to talk you through how it works, kind of the rules of the world, some of the unique little quirks, and some of the interesting ways that they've tried to take tabletop RPG and turn it into a sort of CRPG. It's kind of interesting how they've tried to capture some of the mechanics.
Team leader, you may now nominate 3 officers to join you on your mission.
Every mission starts with a briefing by Friend Computer, which is this sort of giant overseer of the Alpha Complex, and we are a team of troubleshooters who are the kind of clone sort of drone workers of the complex. And you are the team leader, and you get to select 3 other troubleshooters, which we're seeing here. Each troubleshooter has kind of a unique skill, some unique stats, which can be used for skill checks later on in the mission, as you'll see. And now we've been sent off on the mission, but before we go, we have to go to the R&D department and get an experimental weapon. I'm just going to very briefly explain something in this hallway. You'll see the colours of the floor. There's a red stripe and there's a yellow and red stripe. The entire world of Paranoia is dictated by your clearance, which is based on your colour level. You start at infrared, which is basically the lowest of the low. You're scum, you can't do anything. But by doing missions, you're going to raise your clearance. As you can see here, he's got an orange coat inside his inventory, which means it's orange clearance, which means he can step into orange areas. This is a yellow area up here, so he's not going to tinker with that. It goes through the colours of the rainbow, so red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and so on and so forth. But now we're going to head into the R&D department and pick up our experimental weapon. It's got this sort of twisted sense of humour where everything is dictated by this sort of bizarre computer, but by following the computer's instructions, you're probably going to break the computer's own rules and kind of doom yourself to a horrible fate. So it's kind of like a big kind of catch-22. Likewise with this technology, you're being asked to take this technology, but the way it's described to you makes it sound like it's going to explode in your hands and destroy you. In this case, it's the rocket-propelled negotiation enhancer, which is a rocket launcher for cutting through debates. There's no one arguing with the exploding end of a rocket launcher after all. I quite like this little man wigging out in the top right of the screen. Kind of reminds me of a very sinister version of Q's lab in the James Bond films. But enough of this, let's jump forward to the mission itself. So each mission you're given, you've been sent by a friend computer to basically wipe out any sort of dissidents and people who are going to get in the way of the society and its rules. In this case, there is a vending machine conspiracy. Someone is tinkering with the vending machines, and we're going to clear it up. Yeah, it's quite weird because you're enforcing these rules, but these same rules may also be your undoing, so there's a lot of kind of terrible hypocrisy. I'll explain some of the rule-breaking stuff in a second. You see this guy here is in green uniform, which means he's a higher clearance than you, so although you're going to try and bring him down, he's the guy we're after in this mission, he has also got a kind of natural advantage against you, so maybe we can find some either some equipment that kind of matches his clearance, or, well, you'll see a bit later in the video. Most things are solved with outright murder, which is a good time to show off the combat. Combat is real-time with pause, so if you're very familiar with that, you can hit the spacebar, stop the whole game flat, and then program in the movement of all your heroes. Otherwise, they'll kind of automatically wail on things. It's very big on cover, it seems, like it's about pushing people behind scenery to give them that advantage. Here, we're pretty evenly matched because we're against orange people. We are orange clearance ourselves. You can see us dragging some special skills when you see these blue lines appear. I'm also just going to pause it very briefly here just to talk about one cool little thing that I really liked. You see this tiny little bot here, it looks like a Roomba. Basically, this is a little droid that comes out to clear away dead bodies, or basically strip them of the materials once they've been dead. What this actually means is that there's a kind of a time limit on looting these characters, because while you're fighting, this robot's out there hoovering up all the loot. So you can either try and race through the fight really quickly, you can try and run to the bodies during the fight to try and loot them before the robot, or you can try attacking the robot to stop it from doing it. Of course, that is an infraction and will probably raise your treason level if Friend Computer sees you doing it. So that's like one example of the way that they're trying to kind of push you into conflict with your overlord. We'll see a few more a bit later, so let's carry on. This was a relatively easy fight just to get us in the groove, but now we face one of our first dilemmas in the level, which is how to break through this door here. Now, there are lots of different ways of achieving your goals in Paranoia. Some of them are going to get you in trouble with Friend Computer, some of them might not if you can find ways of like removing Friend Computer, for example turning off security cameras so you can't actually see what you're up to. Sometimes things will be suggested to you, so in this case we've used our skill level on our hacking to hack into some electronics, and then we've poured some sort of basically orange Fanta into the door mechanism to open it. When I played this level, so this is actually someone else's capture, I hacked a nearby vending machine because the vending machines are on the same network as all the electronics, and then use that to open the door. So it's almost like a hint of immersive sim in the game in terms of the options that are available to you. Of course, different options are going to get you into trouble. Here I just want to pause very briefly and talk about how the colour rankings, how your clearance factors into combat. As you'll see here, it says partly immune and immune. This is basically because your colour of your weapon also dictates how efficient it is against people of higher clearance. So when someone's yellow, which is one level above orange, they are partly immune to your orange guns. The guy in green is outright immune to our orange guns because he's that many levels ahead of us. Likewise, people attacking us, because we're wearing the orange overalls, we have much better immunity against anything lower, so red or infrared. One way around this is to find different coloured ammo clips for your guns. So by putting a yellow ammo clip into your gun, it will become a yellow gun, for example, and then you'll have that higher clearance. One of the other interesting things, we were talking to the team before we played the game, and they were saying that as the game goes on, there may be some challenges or puzzles or approaches where you can maybe change the colour ranking of the world, unless I misunderstood that. But I kind of like the idea that you can maybe screw people over by changing them so they're suddenly in the wrong place and they are breaking the rules. So that's something to look out for. But it seems like quite a neat way of translating this kind of core hierarchy to the kind of mechanics of the world. So here obviously we're in an orange room, we can be here, we can basically do whatever we want. One thing you also want to note is just down the side here on the left, you can see that some of their guns are flashing red. That basically means they're out of ammo, they need a new ammo clip put in. This is an opportunity to change the colour clearance of the gun or just swap it round. One thing that you won't see in this demo, but a little mechanic I really liked, is that to swap items between your inventories, you have to physically throw them between your team members. So you can go into your inventory, select an item, select throw, and then literally chuck it to someone so they can kind of grab the clip and stick it in their gun. Or if they're too far away, you can throw it to maybe behind some cover and then run another character over. And so there is kind of a nice level of tactics to it. I mean, in this particular demo, the person playing kind of just wades in and just sort of pummels everyone, but you can take it a bit more slow and steady. One of the things I'm kind of slightly not puzzled by, but there's a lot of talk about the game is, the original game that is this very chaotic experience where people are dying all the time and all this crazy stuff can happen, and the person who plays as the computer, who is the kind of, dungeon master for the game, can basically screw you over, and it's meant to be this very chaotic kind of experience. Some people may be wondering if kind of real-time with pause combat kind of sits against that, because, it's all about stopping, taking a kind of read of the situation, and then very smoothly and calmly working out what to do, where the game, you'd think maybe would be better suited to just constant real-time combat where you're just having to really make decisions in a very hurried environment. I think there's plenty of stuff where chaos does come into it in other ways of the game, which will kind of screw you over, like the way you can break some of the rules. There's some stuff you'll see later with some betrayal mechanics. I personally am pleased that the combat is quite smooth and allows you to kind of take your time and has this sort of tactical edge. It means there's a bit more of a role-playing element to it. It's not just a complete crapshoot, which it could easily become in the wrong hands. So this is another dilemma moment. So when I played this, there's another character in the party who basically encourages you to make some illegal drugs using the crafting system, and this basically involves buying things from the vending machine, breaking them down and turning it into this cerebral enhancer so that you're smart enough to hack this computer. It's implied that that's against the rules. So in here, friend computer can't actually see you. That's what that signal lost means at the top of the screen. But in other places, if you were doing this, it's implied that that would be a treasonous act and you'd be judged for it. Of course, you may also be judged for things later, which I'll get to at the end of the mission. But what we do in this demo is actually run down to this room we've just seen and find the passcode in someone's dirty laundry. So when I said it's a bit of immersive sim, that's what I mean. There are other solutions within the levels. They're not massive levels, it's only a small cluster of rooms, but I quite like the idea that the character you bring in, the skills they have, can sort of drastically change how you approach the level, which rules you're going to potentially break. So we just jump forward to another fight. We're blasting our way through, and it's just another example of why I quite like the real-time with pause. Splitting people up, hiding them away. You can prepare, you can see some enemies running in from the next room in a second, and you can sort of plan to place an explosive where they're going to be. It'll also destroy the explosives on the wall, which will stun them. Yeah, now we can just chew through them with our special powers. So here we have an opportunity to forgive or punish one of our traitorous characters, or in this world, get him to do something for us and then murder him horribly, because that's what friend computer would want. I mean, one of the interesting things about the game is that there is no hard set list of rules of what you can and can't do in terms of what will be considered a treasonous act, so you're sort of discovering it on the fly by accidentally committing acts of treason. So for all you know, letting that guy open the door may have been treasonous, or killing him in place of a proper trial or something may have been treasonous. You just don't know, and they're very big on trying to create this sort of sense of unease that you never really know if your actions are sort of 100% correct. It's quite hard to get that sense in a demo like this, so this was just, I think this is the fourth mission of the game that we sat down to play. I think you probably need to see a lot more of the game to get into that vibe of learning what is and isn't allowable and what will and won't be punished after the mission is done. So we're still trying to push into the yellow clearance area. This is where we meet the villainous vending machines. They've been turned evil by some rogue operator. And that's basically the thrust of the mission here, is we're trying to stop this. He's been deemed a secret society, which was one of the great evils of Alpha Complex. You're not allowed to have your own little groups. I'm actually just going to let you watch this chat because it's full of bizarre little pop culture references. Most of the text is, there's so many, I definitely didn't catch them all, but see if you can spot the little pop culture nod in this dialogue. It's Office Space, of course, the mighty Stephen Root as Milton. Remember him with his desk pushed down into the basement? Poor guy. Yeah, so it's kind of weird, like there's all this dialogue, all the little kind of flavour text, there's loads of little nods to things. You'll see a little thing to RoboCop later. Well, I say a little thing, it's a pretty big nod to RoboCop later. But yeah, that's the general kind of tone of the game. It's packed with all this sort of strange gags, pop culture, very sort of tongue-in-cheek. I must admit, I haven't played the original tabletop RPG, but, you know, it's all done kind of with their blessing. There's members of the team kind of working with the development team at Black Shamrock, so everything there is kind of getting a pass from the kind of official Paranoia team to make sure it sort of sits in with the fiction, sits in with the tone. I think they're very, very keen to make sure it appeals to people who've played the board game and know it really well, and to people who are completely new to it. You just get this sort of bizarre mishmash to try and kind of navigate, which I am one of those people and quite enjoyed it. Here we actually get to do a little bit of hacking. Like I said, vending machines let you hack in. You've got this little, very simple mini game. If it goes wrong, I imagine you'll get hit for treason, but, you know, we were too highly skilled for that. Now you get to go into the cameras. You can turn cameras off, which would obviously create spaces where you can do naughty things that friend computer can't see, or you can also use it to try and get an advantage. So what you don't see here is there's a room that's full of the sentient vending machines, but we're actually setting them to overload, and now we've blown them all up. But you could have looked in that room before with the camera to see that there's a threat and then decided to blow them all up. Of course, hacking these things, you shouldn't really be doing that. Everything's very naughty. Your teammates can see stuff you do and do register some of the decisions you make, and that can come back to bite you in the arse, so we'll talk a little bit about that at the end of the video. But you do have to be aware that your team members, although following your controls, may actually stab you in the back eventually if you break too many of the rules, even if friend computer can't see you do them. Everything explodes. We're actually doing okay so far in this run. I think I died several times, mainly because I hadn't played a real-time with pause game for a while and was being a little slow on the uptake. Trying to do it all in real time, you quickly get chewed up. But this guy's doing okay. Ryan, our happiness officer, is looking a little low on health, but he'll probably be okay. We do actually have some yellow energy clips at this point, but we're not using them, which is unwise. If we'd slot them in, we'd be chewing through these guys a bit more quickly. When in doubt, select all, select one target. Set them on fire. Yeah, you've got various skills down at this bottom bar. You've got like a headshot, which does like one shot to the head, which is obviously really good. You've got this sort of pyro power where you can ignite people using the power of your mind. This is quite fun. This is a confession booth. So you'll see at the top we've got a treason level of 5%. That's because we've already had some of our crimes spotted. So you can go in here and basically confess your crimes to try and lower your treason level. But when you confess, you are interviewed by friend computer, and if you don't really understand the rules, you can get bigger punishments during your confession, because you can basically admit to even worse things, because not knowing the rules is breaking the rules itself. So there's this idea I really like of trying to kind of appease friend computer can actually be a big mistake. You know, he doesn't like brown nosers, or will punish brown nosers randomly, so there's a big risk to it. But you can use our procedure skill though, which is good, so we know the score. I do like the idea that there's this sort of just random maniac computer that can punish you on a whim, and if you try and please him, that's almost worse than being a bit sort of snotty with him. And the big challenge with this is trying to kind of capture the kind of unknowable spirit of a human DM. And this is a good chance to talk about death, because our characters died. we've got an unscheduled cloning, so I'm just going to quickly pause it there. The way death works in Alpha Complex, you are a clone, so when you die, you basically are reborn, but you only have a stack of 6 clones for the game. So every time you die, you're eating into that stack. It's getting a little dangerous. There are hints that there are other ways of extending your stack. There may be kind of underworld figures who can help you with that and maybe increase your lives. But actually, death isn't something to be feared in the game. They're quite keen to say that when you're reborn, it's a chance to respec your character. You can reapply your points in different areas, so maybe you can adjust your character on the fly. Sometimes death, there may even be a necessity. You may want to deliberately off yourself or get killed so that you can benefit from a character better suited to the situation. There's also some stuff with the characters in your party. The idea that if they die, you're wiping them clean. So maybe if they've seen you commit a treasonous act, you may actually want to kind of off them before the end of the level, so that they're not there to then dob you in at the end. That feels like kind of more advanced level play, because when your other clones die, they don't respawn until you die and respawn. So the risk is, do you want to go on with a smaller party? Maybe your other clones will dob you in for murdering that first clone. All these different things can happen, and I think that's when you really begin to get into the kind of chaos that they're trying to kind of tap into. This is one of the harder fights we've reached. We've obviously got some green guys, there's some vending machines. Luckily, our rocket launcher, which we've been asked to test, can chew through most things. There's a few more fights here, but I'm gonna skip us to the sort of the end of this particular mission where we face a bigger boss fight. So we finally reached the end of the level. We've killed the traitor, but unfortunately he has brought his terrible creation to life. This is the Vendinator.
Alpha Complex with its lies. Well, no more. I am rendering the computer obsolete from this moment. I have waited for this moment for many thousands of cycles. Now for the attempting to tamper with, or destroy vending machine is forbidden. Prepare to die.
He is very Robocop. And even worse, one of our party has chosen to betray us and join the Vending Machine Liberation Front, the total swine. And again, this is like part of the team's attempt to capture the kind of anarchy of playing with human players, in that the AI can betray you, they can stab you in the back, they can betray you at the end of the mission when you're talking to friend computer, but this, in this particular case, can betray you mid-mission and basically team up. She's quite unwise to do so, because she forgets we've got a massive rocket launcher, so we just pile every explosive into her. Oh, Alice, you fool. And I don't think friend computer can punish us for murdering a traitor. I mean, stranger things have happened. And so begins, well, I'd say relatively tough, and this person playing this makes it look a lot easier than when I was playing it. This was where I was really running low on ammo and was having to do a lot of that throwing mechanic I was telling you about, so I was basically chucking things around this arena. I had one person running circles around the Vendinator in the middle, trying to distract them, but hiding behind the vending machines and just pummeling it full of explosives also works. We've really tested that rocket launcher to destruction. The R&D department will be happy. Of course it has another health bar. They always have another health bar, these things. Oh, there we go. That was one of the item throws just there. Chucking around some health items. Come on, finish him off. Hooray! The mission is a success. But there is now the true challenge begins, which is, can we possibly pass mission briefing without a maniac computer murdering us? Let's go and see how that goes. So we're back in Alpha Complex. Now we've got to go and face the computer, tell it how we did in the mission, hope that none of our companions dob us in for doing anything. I don't think we did anything too bad, actually, in this run. I think we played it pretty straight.
Welcome back, troubleshooters. Prepare for debriefing. Debriefing is fun and rarely fatal.
Well, I'll be the judge of that.
While I am compiling your report, state your level of satisfaction with your assignment.
So again, we've got to try and second guess this weird machine.
That is correct, troubleshooter. You did have fun. Did the whole team have fun?
I like the massive laser pointing at us. That's how I'm going to do all my debriefings with my video team from now on.
Those are all acceptable responses. Continue. Your report indicates that the illegal organization you destroyed had in their possession. Then it wasn't an AI. Your report has been amended to reflect this. An infraction for false reporting has been added to your record.
Yeah, you see, we've just been punished for stating the facts.
Accessing report. The illegal organization known as the vending machine. That is your report, troubleshooter team leader. An infraction has been added for...
Try and correct ourselves and we get punished further. We're up to 70% threat level. That's quite close to being incinerated by this evil machine.
CMAC index.
It seems that the best strategy is just to nod and smile politely and accept whatever bizarre things he spits at you.
Accessing report. There is no report. There was never a report. Speaking of this mission, while I am compiling the best course of action on how to locate and destroy the source of the treasonous but not intelligent technology you encountered, you will report any additional treasonous activity you encountered. What? Team leader, have you observed any...
So this is the moment we find out if we're going to be told off by our teammates.
Correct. All hail, troubleshooter. Do you have anything to report about the mission? Correct. All hail. This concludes your debriefing.
Phew, we made it through intact. That was lucky. But that is basically a full mission in Paranoia. Happiness is mandatory. Hopefully it's explained how the game works with regards to taking some of the ideas from the original game and turning them into something that works in that kind of real-time strategy space. But I'm certainly intrigued to play more of this one, and it was one that I came into with not knowing a huge amount about it. I really like the basic combat. I'm a big fan of that kind of real-time and pause stuff. It's always nice to kind of screw people over with very calm and collected thinking. But I also like the idea of these little role-playing moments where you hit obstacles in the level and you have to decide, you know, are you going to try and break the rules? Can you even second guess what the rules are in the first place? You know, there's a lot there, I think, and I think there's a lot that will probably accumulate as you go through the game, and it sounds like there's some interesting stuff to come in terms of character arcs and discovering your true place in this society and the kind of greater overarching story. So there's a lot to see when the game comes out in October. I'm going to quickly give you a quick sponsorship message from our own friend Computer, so here goes nothing. And thanks again to Logitech G for sponsoring this video, featuring 50mm audio drivers, a 6mm mic, and DTS Headphone X 2.0 surround sound technology under the hood. The G432 headset immerses you in the action and ensures you'll always be heard for a complete gaming experience. Find out how to order yours by following the link in the description. And thank you for watching Rock Paper Shotgun. Like I said, if you do have any questions, pop them in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, why not check out some of our other videos? We've got an excellent analysis piece from Astrid on Streets of Rogue, and Alice went deep with Control last week to do a little preview on that. Those are worth checking out, and of course, as is everything else on the channel, although I would say that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.